welcome to today's episode. I am super excited to share my friend Amy Wilson from Amy Wilson's Designs. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today.
Oh, thank you, Lisa, for inviting me. I'm so excited about this.
We were in the pre-interview, we were just kind of just chatting about how we've just evolved a friendship over time, over the last couple of years, and just notice each other and, comment and share. And I'm just so excited to have you on today. I just love your decor, your style.
Oh, I'm excited to be with you because, as I was saying earlier, you didn't know this, but I've been following you for several years. I followed you prior to opening my own account. And then I do think that God is in the details, and maybe we're supposed to be friends.
Yeah.
Maybe we're kind of the kindred spirits. I was thinking, oh my goodness, it's kind of like Anna of Green Gables. I'll be the redhead and you'll be the dark-haired beauty, her best buddy friend. And I thought this is really a good thing.
Oh,
So
I
thank
love
you so
that.
much. It's fun to be your friend. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, it is. It's been great getting to know you, and I appreciate your account so much. I love right now it's all Christmas, and
Yes.
I'm blown away at how you decorate. Even though our styles are different, but I love like how you have a room in every or a theme for almost every room and a tree in it. Like,
Hmm.
that's goals for me. How long did it
Yeah.
take you to acquire all of that? I have a question because
Okay. No, that's a good question, actually. I'm 51.
uh-huh.
I've actually been decorating. I started decorating trees for other people probably 2 decades ago.
Hmm.
So I have a friend who has, I would call a mansion. And I did 15 trees for her home in 3 days. And that was from start to finish. We went everywhere, Walmart, you name it. And we just started picking out themes. And that makes it so you can categorize quickly what you want to do. We had a nutcracker theme in the kitchen. We did 3 trees there. Santa theme in the family room. We put 15 Santas that were 12 to 18 inches tall in that tree. Anyway, it's evolved over the years, and I always did a tree for each of my kids. I have 5 children in their rooms and let them enjoy the process and kind of create with me. So it's kind of become a tradition in
Aw.
a sense. I'm not a good cook. I'm more drawn to this stuff. So my kids don't have the memories of me making, English toffee or fudge, but they do have the memories of the trees. And it's just so fun for me. It creates such ambiance and Christmas cheer in our home. I love it.
I love it too. I love it too. And then I always joke in my stories I quit cooking now that my kids are older. I did it all the years, and now I'm like, Steve.
Yeah, I'm kind of baffled by it now. I'm thinking that was a whole different world. We
Yeah,
go out to eat a lot now, do you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because COVID, we're ordering in more. Definitely, we have our
Yeah, it's
favorites
true.
or pickup.
It's Yeah, your go-tos. And it does kind of, I think that food in that way, when someone else can make it, makes COVID a little easier. So it brings some normalcy to our lives.
Yeah,
Like, oh yeah, we're still doing that a little bit.
yeah.
Sure, it's altered, but tasting someone else's good cooking, I think it's just fabulous. I think
You're
it's
like,
great.
I don't have to make it, and same for me.
I know my kids always said, but your sandwiches taste better. It's when you make them. And I know they're just wanting me to make their sandwiches, but there is some love that comes from serving other people through food. But
Yeah,
that's what I do with my trees. And that's what I do with my home decor is I'm sharing my home. And aren't you noticing right now during COVID, especially that people are yearning for that kind of home feel? I mean, we're all kind of quarantined a little bit. And so people are more interested in polishing their
yeah.
environments. It's
I agree,
we're
100%.
here, we're here. And I've noticed a change this Christmas versus the past is people are really trying to focus on peace, joy, those feelings. And in some way we are setting the stage. I
Mhm.
used to do costume design.
Oh wow.
I designed costumes for 22 musicals for a long time. That taught me so many skills and it taught me to push the details, right? Push the details. But you're setting the stage when you have costumes or set design. You're also, I think my thing fell.
Oh
You're also setting the stage when you work on home decor and
yeah.
set things out for holidays. And then it just keeps great energy, constant movement in your home in a good way.
And I, now that you say that, the details, what I so enjoy about your page are the details. You get very like specific and everything has its place. And I feel like it goes so well together. And that's what I really enjoy about your page and looking at how you design. So that totally makes sense. That's the way you think and that's the way you present your home.
Mhm.
So I love that.
Well, thank you. And I would feel the same way about you, even though you and I have different styles and different approach. We do have some core similarities.
Mhm.
I feel connected to your page, which is why I began following you years ago. It's
Mhm.
like, ooh, I love your all of your video work. You seem to draw people in so that I feel like I'm in your home
Oh,
with you.
thank you.
Yeah. And I think the social media, that's why it's so well received, is we feel connected to each other. And I was thinking this morning, even though there's so much, um, I don't, there's a lot of division going on out in the world, but ironically, there's opposition in that I feel also closer to
Mhm.
people as well because they are in my home through my phone.
Mhm.
So you and I could connect and become friends long before we actually had this conversation.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
felt supported by you. If you made a comment or if you DM'd me about something,
Mhm.
I felt friendship. And that's something I want to maybe approach with us today is that I'll get DMs from people, you as well,
Mhm.
people asking questions. It immediately forms a bond.
Yes.
And what's great about social media is you don't have to be timid where in real life you wouldn't go knock on someone's door and ask them a question.
Right. Right.
It affords us the luxury of getting to know people and having our questions answered and feel supported in this way. I think that's why it's such a hit, this social media.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's like I look forward, like I'm sure you have followers that DM you almost on daily, right? And
Yeah.
and I do too. And it's like they'll send me recipes, or they'll be like, "Oh, I saw this. I thought of you," or they'll be out shopping and they're like, "I saw this and thought of you." It's the little things, and it's kind of like if someone took a moment out of their day because they thought of me. And when I share in my stories and when I share on my page, I'm also thinking of how I can share with other people. So it's great. I love it. And I think
I
especially during this time, I felt even more of a connection, like a friendship connection and a closer bond to the Instagram community than I did prior. So
I would agree with you. And I think too, it's almost like teamwork.
yeah.
When you start to post, anyone starts an account and people begin to follow, you begin to have this relationship with your tribe,
Hmm.
right? And then based on excuse me, how people respond, how people connect with you, what they say, you kind of guide your train
Hmm.
along their path because you realize it's more than you. You
Hmm.
realize what is it that they need. And I agree. I welcome people who DM me. I've actually, I don't know if you felt this way, but I've actually had some people connect with me and and discuss things about COVID. I did, and I don't know if this is appropriate to share, but I did have a woman contact me and ask me to pray for her husband who had COVID. And after about a month, he passed away.
Oh,
And it's real life, so I hope I share that with sensitivity.
yeah, you did.
But the bond, and I mean I could cry right now.
Mhm.
And then I pray. I mean, she asked me to pray for him, and I felt a connection, not just through social media, but through prayer involving
Mhm.
God in our creative process. I mean, it this is so much bigger than just pictures
Yes.
of a home.
Yes.
Don't you agree? It's
I
so much more.
100%
If
agree.
it were just stuff, if it were just stuff, it wouldn't be able to keep me connected and be able actually to focus
Mhm.
and to work because it is so much work. It is a full-time job for me. I'm sure it is for you.
It is. It
All
is.
of the little moving parts from video work to writing, let alone the creating,
Right.
and staging and looking for things to stage and what is going to be of benefit to my tribe,
Mhm.
but it's really that the stuff alone would not keep me here.
Right.
Do you agree with
I
that?
agree 100%. If I always say the best part of Instagram are the people that I've met
Yes.
and the connections that I have made. And I've said it again, I said it before, I'll say it again. The people, the connections, that's what's keeping me moving forward, keeping my page going. Because, sometimes it becomes a lot. We all have lives, and sometimes I
Mhm.
think, is this worth it? And then I'm like, it is, because those connections and the people that I've talked to and helped and formed relationships with, that's not something I want to let go of. And I so enjoy it. So my tribe is like the reason I'm here. It's the reason why I'm doing it.
Exactly.
It's the reason why I started this podcast, is
Exactly.
now I want to share influencers from all different design styles and get people to know them more, and just keep branching out and just keep the community, just fulfill more of the community needs, and like giving back to that. It was just something that was always something on my mind for like the last year and a half, and COVID gave me the time to really think, why don't I do it? What am I afraid of? Let's
Mhm.
just start. So it slowed me down enough to go, let's go.
Well, and isn't it neat because it's all about baby steps. Life
Yeah.
is about baby steps, and Instagram, social media is about baby steps. And you're you never probably dreamt at all when you began your account that one day then you would be involving and sharing like this.
No.
But the work you did prior afforded you the opportunity right now to
Hmm.
have this conversation, that
Yeah.
we can have this conversation and share it with so many people and
Yes.
let them know, all of you know that you're important to us, you matter. Hopefully you can get more from us than just a Christmas tree, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully there's something very human about this,
Yes.
like I said, kindred spirits.
Yeah.
You really find that the world is so small. It really is.
It really is. It really is.
It's beautiful.
So, why did you start your page? Like, what was that moment that you said, you know what, I'm going to finally launch this Instagram page? It's something I've been thinking about. What finally drew you to it and made you do it?
Yeah. Well, in a quick nutshell, if I can make it quick, back many years ago, 30 years ago almost, I started designing for the craft industry. And I graduated with a BFA in art education. While I was putting myself through school, I worked at a floral shop. So you can kind of see where I learned my
You're
training.
multi-talented.
Well, it was just interesting because I would have this art background, like that's very contemporary, very different than the floral side. So I was working from with so many people with different ideas. That was fantastic to learn in my late teens, early 20s.
Uh-huh.
During college, I wrote a craft book and designed a line of stamps. After I graduated, I had a baby a month after I graduated, and then began my own business 2 months later,
Wow.
Amy Wilson Designs. And over the next decade, all through the 90s, I was designing books, pen and ink sheets, posters for Prince Plus. I don't know if you remember
Oh,
them.
yeah.
Sold through Michaels, sold a couple 100,000 prints. Anyway, I ended up having 5 children, and around 2000, 2001, it just became so overwhelming. This was prior to Instagram. I don't know how young moms do it now,
I
but
know.
it was my sixth child, right? My business was my
Oh,
sixth
yeah.
child and sometimes took much more time. And I didn't feel like I was doing very well at anything.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't think I'm alone in this. I've talked to a
Yeah.
lot of women and men, who feel you've got to then get on your knees. I got on my knees and prayed. The answer I got wasn't what I wanted,
Mm.
but it was the right answer from God. It was put it on the shelf,
Mm.
is the phrase. I've been sharing that phrase with people lately, and it is hitting a chord with people. People are understanding. Put it on the shelf, which to me, I'm so glad that God didn't say stop. You don't do it anymore. He said put it on the shelf, which for my personality, he knows me. He knew it meant later,
Yeah.
later. And I was okay with that. So I
Mm.
completely put it on the shelf till about 2.5 years ago. And, my youngest was a senior in high school and she was never around.
Mm.
And I was just getting like, okay. And then I had the thought in my head, it's time.
Mm.
And I hadn't thought of the put it on the shelf phrase till I heard from God, it's time.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, zoom, it's like 20 years went away. And I remembered that specific moment and I knew it. It's time to take it back off the shelf.
Oh, you gave me
And
goosebumps.
so then I jumped into this. I jumped into this kind of as an empty nester account, but I learned quickly people do not want other women moaning and groaning about their children leaving the home. I mean, that's a traumatic time
Yes.
for so many. I can't tell you how many people have asked me my opinion and talked to me about this discussion. You could do so many podcasts on this. And
That's exactly how, oh,
my thing fell. Is that why you started yours?
it's exactly how I started
Yeah.
mine. I became an empty
Yeah.
nester and I was so depressed, living in an apartment in Texas, moved there on a whim to follow my husband to a new career, left my kids, never thought in a million years I would do that. I ended up flying back every month, but my best friend said, Lisa, I had a YouTube channel that I just dabbled in. She's like,
Oh, wow. Okay.
you need to start your YouTube channel again. You need to, because she knows I'm a creative, right?
Yes.
And so I did that. And then she's like, hey, Instagram has home decor. And I'm like, it does? Like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then
I
I'm like,
didn't either.
yeah, I was like, how can I do like, and so it literally pulled me out of the bed. It literally pulled me out of
Yes.
bed where I was laying because I'm like, I have no purpose.
Yes.
I miss my
I
children.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand 100%. And so do so many of our viewers. They understand. Yeah.
So it gave me a
So
purpose
then you
to
had
get up.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me a purpose to get up and tap it back into my creativity. And
Yes.
now 2.5 years later,
Look
here
at
we
you.
are.
And you know, that word that you said is the word I hear in every conversation, purpose.
Mm,
And your purpose has to shift.
mm,
And that's something that I've become very mindful of is time and seasons.
yeah.
And now I'm having so much fun. And for a while, I don't know if you felt this way. Did you feel almost a little guilty? Like, oh, I shouldn't
Yeah.
be
Like
doing this. I need to give
did something to
everything.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't know how to give that to myself.
yeah, it's an unusual process. It is a journey,
Mm,
right? It is a journey. And so now I'm on this journey. And my third child, my daughter Sarah, said recently, you need to find Amy. You need to find yourself, Mom.
mm,
You helped us all those years.
mm.
It's your turn now. And I know we don't need to ask for that permission, but I can't tell you, it just lifted a little bit of load. Like, oh, you mean you're not going to be mad at me for following my passion and dream? Am I, am I still honoring you as my child if I go do my own thing? We could go through so many.
Oh yeah.
And it's just it's our little, we have to create our own little treasure map, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to do that.
Yeah.
So
And I think
that's my story.
well, and your story is similar to my story. After spending
Exactly.
every moment of every day, being a mom, trying to be the best mom, trying to make memories and do all the things, and everyone in sports, and I was at every booster meeting, every soccer game, we did it all. And then when that kind of ends, you're just left with like, what do I do?
Exactly.
And now I get to take something that I always had a passion, and my home always looked, good. And now I get to share it with other people and inspire other people in different ways and still be a mom. And now I'm a grandma. So that's been great.
I love that. And that makes me think of a comment from a discussion I had with an art professor, my favorite one, James Christensen. He has since passed. Phenomenal artist. Lots of details in his work. Go look him up, James Christensen.
Okay.
But we were talking one day, and I said, how? I called him Jim. How do I, as a woman with children and responsibilities, still find way for my own passion to share? Because I'm so busy. He then painted the painting called, oh, these are falling out. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He then painted the painting called The Responsible Woman. And
Oh,
if you want to go look that up, it's a
I'm gonna write
woman
that
with red
down.
hair flying in the air, holding a little baby, and she has things on her. She's carrying like a dog. She has candles. She has all these things. Those are symbolic.
Yeah.
Those are symbolic things of like light, work we do, all that stuff. And they're just hanging all on her.
Mhm.
Yet she's kind of flying forward. And he told me that there was a time in his career when he had a leadership position in our church. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but he had a leadership position, and he said, Amy, the time that I was so busy in that leadership position was when I created my best work.
Mhm.
It's when I was so involved serving, loving, caring for other people. God helped me focus.
Mm.
And that's when I came up with this painting and this painting and this painting. It was almost effortless.
Oh.
And he said, so everything you do will help you be a better creator. And
Mm.
it's that creating with God that I've kind of talked about. But now, because some people could say, oh, you've used all that time for them and you don't have any left for you. No, no. All of those moments
Mm.
that you used helping, I don't care if it was changing a diaper, making, a meal, doing whatever you did, helps fill that creative bucket. And you come out the other end of the tunnel a stronger, wiser, more creative person with your skill set of how you look at the world and how you see things, and you're more efficient. I mean, just think,
Right.
you are a wise woman now from
Mhm.
your path that you've gone through. And now when you create, it's magical. It's fun.
I love
I
how
don't know.
I love how you're saying this. I'm like, yes, yeah, you're so right.
Well, it's been through lots of thought and lots of discussions with friends, people my age. It's definitely a time people do not talk about.
It
They
is.
talk about when we all had that milestone of, oh, when you're 65, you retire. People don't talk about, okay, when your children leave
Mhm.
home and you're an empty nester, um, you just kind of have to sit back and be quiet.
Yeah.
You can't offer your opinion. You kind of have to, and it's hard because it's interesting. There's a Greek woman told of in ancient Greek. Her name, I think, was Cassandra, and she had so much wisdom, and she would foretell things and tell everyone, share her great wisdom, and no one believed her. And it
Mm.
was such a tragedy, and I
Yeah.
sit and think, all of us, we get to this point and we know so much, but yet our children and people around us need to find their own path,
Yeah.
and one day they'll be here too.
Hmm.
And I don't say that in a depressing way. I say, okay, how then do we utilize that energy and what we've learned
Hmm.
and create a positive result? And what are we learning from it?
Well, it's
What are we learning?
definitely being as you and I, mothers of young adults, and watching them grow, and even seeing them knowing they're going to be making some mistakes, but
Mm-hmm.
allowing them to go through the process, but still trying to guide them a little bit and still be
Mm-hmm.
there has been something, especially over the last year, I've really worked on, and like trying to be just that support instead of the
Yes.
mother who was like used to saying, oh no, we need to do this and we need to do that and we need to do this. And
Yes.
you learn, and now being a grandmother for the first time, I'm watching my daughter who's being an amazing mother, and she's like little helicopter mom, which is what I was, but I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, she's got to go through it too. Like, she brought baby over for the first time and she showed me 10 minutes on how to wash the bottles. And I'm like, okay, just like sitting there. I'm like, yes, okay, letting her have all her moments, so
Yes.
she's comfortable. So it is true. It's a different time. It's an exciting time. And yeah, it's a different perspective, and it makes you look back. I don't know. It's good. I'm really excited for my children and their future, and to get to watch them each blossom in their own unique way. And
It's true. It's true. I had someone share this with me, and this is a great piece of wisdom. Your children in their 20s are looking to become independent.
Mhm.
And then in their 30s, they're starting to realize, often they have children, and they're starting to have those aha moments of,
Mhm.
oh, I could have been like this, or oh, is this what my mom went through? They start to appreciate us more. Think of your process, how you start to go, oh, I appreciate my mom more. And then in the 40s, maybe you could become more friends with your
Yes.
parents. And 50s, I mean, I can't tell you. I'll call up my mom, Mom, I am so sorry I
I've
did
done
that.
that
I
too.
I didn't my I didn't know. And that's the point, is you don't know until
Yes.
you go through it. And then as Oprah Winfrey said, oh, a couple decades ago, and it stuck with me, when you know better, you do better.
Yes, Oprah, my favorite. Yes.
And
You
then
know
and
better, you do better.
yes, yes. And I, like you, this year it's been an educational year for me. And while you're trying then to also do your own thing, right? You have your little Instagram baby, your
Yeah.
social media, you've got this whole podcast thing, and you want to honor that. And you're trying to balance that with your children and knowing how far do I get involved and what do they need from me. So I'm really grateful for my account because it helps me focus. So I'm not helicopter mom to
Mhm.
all of them all the time. That would be so draining for them,
Yes.
honestly, if I were in their space all the time.
Yeah.
It it's another thing. My adult daughters, I have three daughters, and they're reading this book. One of them read it twice, the other one loved it, and then the youngest is now looking into it. And I started reading it. It's called Boundaries. And it's
Oh,
on the New York Times best selling list. And at first, some of the stuff you read, you go, ugh. As a
yeah.
parent, you kind of don't want to hear, but then you realize, wait a minute, I get boundaries too. It's
Yeah.
not just these young adults saying, I need boundaries. Mom. You can say, okay, these are my boundaries within my business. And now I'm doing this. I did this before, and this is what I need, this respect. And then they have the things that are important to them, and you start to communicate better. What a great time to
I'm
live
getting
in.
that book.
Back when we were younger, they did, you what? Yeah,
I'm
go
getting
get
that
it.
book.
Yeah, I mean, I've just read like a chapter and a half, and all of the sudden my eyes are open. And you're thinking, and how, what a gift that would have been 20, 30 years ago
Thank
had I, because we didn't talk about some of this stuff when we were younger. This is all, even though my daughter and I then looked up when the first person started talking about some of this stuff,
you.
it was really in the 90s is when
Mhm.
some of this stuff about boundaries and different things started to come to light. But I tell you, because your Instagram account, all this other stuff will suffer if you are not whole,
Right.
right?
Right.
And what do
And you
you, if
you
you don't
start
have
becoming
good
cold
things to
in so
share?
many places. And then your
Yes,
creativity wanes and it becomes like work instead of something that's supposed to be pleasurable, right? Like,
yes,
and not that it's
yes,
not work. So I want to talk about that. Like, let's
yeah.
talk a little bit about, okay, you've been on TV, you do TV appearances. So I want to talk about them,
Yes.
make sure we get that in. So tell
Oh,
us
we
a little
could
bit.
talk all day.
I
We
know
could
we could.
talk all
I know
day.
we could. I love it. We're gonna have to talk again.
Yeah, we will. We're kindred spirits now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we're best friends now.
Yeah.
um,
We need to do lunch. I
yeah, I
forgot
know.
where you live. Where do you
I live
live?
in
In Texas?
Arizona.
Oh, in Arizona. Okay. Well, Utah, we're not
I
too
know.
far.
It's about 12 hours.
Okay, what do you want to address
I want
next? You
to
want to address
definitely talk
TV?
about your TV appearances. And so, how did that become? Because that's a lot of influencers, like they would love to do that. So, kind of tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about your journey and how you were able to get on TV and how that
Yeah.
process was.
I feel very, very blessed about that. Once in a while, something magical happens in your life. And those things don't happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But this really was. And I had started my account, let's see, September-ish, no, September 1st, 2018. And it was more of this kind of empty nester approach. And then I noticed people started to respond really well to pictures of my porch. And that's when I jumped in more to home decor. And so KSL contacted me
Oh,
and they said, we like your page. We like, and let's be honest, I'm 51, I'm a little older. And they thought that I was a good fit because they don't have as many older people
Mature.
mature
We're
people.
mature.
Even though we're
Mature.
not old, we're not young, is my
Yeah.
son. And so they kind of liked having, I guess, I filled a niche, as they
Yeah.
said. So then I just started doing segments for them, and I love it. It's a lot of work. So I tend to do all the fall months, and then I
Mm,
take a bit of a break. And the last one I did was they came to my home and did a huge home tour, Christmas tree tour,
I saw
which was
that.
15 trees. It was so fun, but I'm going to be honest, I, I'm exhausted, you know. So I'm going to take a little break from hot minute. And then, I just let him know, okay, I'm ready to do something again.
Hmm.
Um, it, that's what I do. So I share all sorts of stuff from trade design, trees, to little Grammys playroom. It's just that fun
That's
stuff.
fabulous.
I love it.
That's
It's really
fabulous.
fun. Did I ever think I'd be doing this? Absolutely not. I mean, never dreamt I'd be doing television or doing a podcast with you. So
Oh.
it's all fun. Any other questions? You
Yeah.
can
So,
ask anything at all.
so as like, okay, so for someone who wants to start a home decor account, like what are a
Yes.
few tips that you can give them? Few lessons that you've learned along the way that maybe they can
Yeah,
take from this.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and you and I both know you have to make a lot of mistakes along the way.
Mhm.
So I guess the first thing I would say, don't be afraid of the mistakes. And a thought about that is back when I was designing, I interestingly enough found that sometimes when I would make a mistake, I would I would learn and go, oh, like I spilled on a mat. And I thought, I don't want to waste the mat. So I started drawing bows on the mats. And then all of a sudden, that became the rage in the 90s. I look at it now and go, ugh, it was
Right.
big. And I had enough situations like that where I really learned, oh, it just alters your view and it might be a better view, right? So, A, don't be afraid of the mistakes. B, don't sit and wait to start. Now, granted, you need to do some basic planning. You don't just say, today is the day,
Yeah.
but give yourself a fairly short amount of time and give yourself a due date, or else you're going to just keep pushing it off. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I mean, that's your style. But I kind of thought about it a lot in July, August, and then I made my date for September 1st. So
Mhm.
then I started doing my research. I decided, okay, what, and it was different because I had quotes and different things then, but it made it so it was less focused. So over time, you become more focused
Yeah.
as you listen to your tribe, right?
Mhm.
As you listen to your tribe, then you start to see, and it's this creative process together. You're
Yeah.
not selling yourself out by listening and doing what they do. You're
Right.
at what they ask you. You just start to say where it fits in your boundaries, right? In
Mhm.
your like what, and at a conference, Design Twins
Oh,
conference.
yes, I remember
Oh
that when they did
yes,
that.
yes,
I remember when they did that.
yes. In the spring, I guess it was a year and a half ago. I'm glad they didn't try to do it during COVID. I would have
Yeah.
missed out. But um, what did they say? Now I'm thinking. They said so many things, but they just encouraged us to be true to yourself, to start. Don't be afraid. Don't wait on things. They also taught me, this is an Instagram tip,
Mhm.
to look at your insights, because if you hit the insight button, then Instagram gives you information about what is attracting people.
Right.
So you can see who, the posts that you have that have a lot of likes, you'll see your top likes.
Mhm.
And if you really start to analyze, you start to go, wait a minute, that view in the kitchen, that is shown like 5 times in my top 10 posts.
Mhm.
Obviously, people like that. And then you're not wondering, what on earth am I doing?
Right.
You're not that kite in the storm. You start to then create your own personal rules, and you
Mhm.
know what your money shots are. You know
Yeah.
what your money shots are.
You need to put those in the rotation.
You do. Yeah, and you can't put those every day. So then
Right. They
so
have to
then you
be in
have
a
to
rotation.
experiment. Yes. But then you start to and then you start to say, okay, what about this picture
Yeah.
is it that draws people? So you have the picture, and then you say, why is it so? and you start to look at angles or color or light. And that's another thing, goes back to my art background. The elements of art: line, color, texture, value, shape, mask, you name it. You train yourself, as you know, till
Mhm.
it just becomes second nature. And it's your 10,000 hours rule. I have a son who went to the golf junior amateur, and he represented Utah.
Mhm.
That kid would go hit balls on the range from morning till night. He put in his 10,000 hours, and he was a really great example to me of, you just stick with it.
Yeah.
You stick with it.
Stick with
Yeah.
it. And
And
even,
evolve.
yeah, eventually you'll evolve. Like I have my very first video I ever did because I couldn't take photos. So video is my medium. And I kept that. If people scroll on my page, you'll see my very first one I did for
I wouldn't have
Instagram.
known that. I wouldn't have known that. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I have a
Because,
photographer who comes to my house. So all my
okay,
photos are professionally done. So
okay,
I batch my content for a month. So I
okay.
plan my entire theme, decorate the whole house, do the tutorials, hire my photographer comes, and then I have a month's worth of content. And for Christmas, I
Wow.
had 2 months worth of content because I knew I had to have my first post up in November for the King
I
of
finally
Christmas.
learned this. I
Yeah.
finally learned what you're talking about. It's like you take extra so you can
Yes.
use them the day after Halloween,
Yes.
when Instagram explodes with Christmas, and people are like, how did they get their house decorated? No, no, no. They were from last year.
Oh no, mine
Yes.
are from this year, but
Oh,
yeah. So my house,
actually,
Halloween came down 4 days before Halloween and Christmas went up.
well, and to be honest, October 15th, because I found out after I did my Halloween segment for Studio 5, I did a Halloween tree.
Oh,
And so then they said, well, how many trees do you have? And then they said, we want to come to your house. And so October 15th, I started taking things down in different rooms,
yeah.
started putting Christmas up. But I took a bunch after Christmas last year, and it did help when people do the sharing Christmas in July,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
And then that's a great tip for people. And then like what I'll do at the end of the year, I'll do my best DIYs of 2020.
Oh,
And
I should do.
yeah,
Yeah, people
yeah,
do that. I forgot people do. Thank
yeah,
you.
do the
Do you
best
do that for
of.
a solid?
Yeah, I
Do you
do
do
that
that
for
for a week?
almost two. I'm gonna do almost 2 weeks because it gives me time to take all my Christmas down. I
Wonderful.
might do like a Christmas packing, putting away video, maybe one, show people some
Okay.
techniques and how I store. And then I'm gonna do my best of, which gives me time to like decompress from the holidays and get that creative juices flowing.
Yes.
How do I want to stage the house and what am I going to be using
Yes.
and so on and so forth.
Oh, you just gave me some inspo, my
Yeah,
friend.
take some time off. It's been a
Oh, it's been, well, and the thing is, I did so many collaborations to get
yes.
the house ready, rugs and
Mhm.
bedding and all sorts of stuff. And so then it's great because you have all that, but you do need to then be honest and get all of the work, presented in your feed and on your stories, because then you're working with these companies.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Be very careful to not overstep,
Overcommit too.
overcommit during the holidays too, and it's a busy time, and it was just one of those things. I knew it would be crazy, so then I end up doing 2 posts a day right now.
Oh, oh wow.
And it's a lot. Another thing too, another tip is consistency,
Yes.
right? So I just post every morning.
Yeah.
Do If I don't, sometimes I just say, I'm really tired, I just need a break today.
Yeah.
But then you try to put a little something up in stories so that people aren't worried about you. Are you okay?
I know.
Are you safe?
You get that.
Did you
Like
get in an accident?
if I don't
Yeah.
say good morning, I get lots of people messaging me, "Are you okay? I hear your good morning this morning." So that's my thing. I just pop on for a little bit, but if I get busy during the day, I'll try and pop on later in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
good. It's good friendship. It's good
yeah.
grace to share with your friends that you're safe. And you do another thing, you have to just share. You cannot, this is a tip, you cannot think about it too much, right? You
Yes.
just kind of got to be. And
Yeah.
that's where your true self comes out. And if people love you and adore you, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too.
Right.
yeah, I don't take it personally.
Mhm.
Um, if people say, "Oh, I lost these followers," I'm just like, "Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay." And then you're just growing people who have similar connections with you.
Correct.
Yeah, you cannot take it personally. That's another thing. You have to be fairly thick-skinned,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah.
And and go in your path. Go in your path, and that's all right. Knowing that.
Stay true to you.
Yes.
Listen to your followers, but like you said, analyze, see what they like, but still stay true to you. They'll
Yeah.
things I post that I know not everyone's gonna like Halloween
Right.
always tanks for me, but I love Halloween.
See, my viewers
So
like
I
my Halloween. Isn't that interesting? Is it?
Yeah, my viewers
Yeah.
don't. They get over it. And so, I try and shorten it, but I love it so much. I did 3 weeks of it. And I could tell the last week got low engagement, but I didn't care. I created the content. It was fun for me. And you have to still be true to you. And so
Yes.
I did it because ultimately this can't just be work.
Well, there you go. You have to stay fresh,
Yeah.
right? You have to fill your bucket. And so, how you do that, that's the thing. You get to create your own little Wonderland world.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
We really
And
do.
there are a lot of things in life we do not have control over, as we see,
Yes.
especially during a pandemic, with all the things, including killer bees and how many crazy things that have happened this year.
Yes.
But I find a lot of peace in my account
Hmm.
because I have control over when I post,
Hmm.
what I post, what I say.
Hmm.
And then I give my offering to
Hmm.
you. I give it out there. And some days people like it more than others, but I feel blessed. I feel really blessed. I feel like people have really supported me. I hope I'm supporting them.
Hmm.
I truly look at it as a relationship with all these friends. And I don't want people to feel like they're a number. Don't
Mhm.
you agree?
100%.
Yeah, I really feel like, hey, we're here. And if you have a question, ask me. I'm happy. If I don't know the answer, I'll help you find it. We
Yeah.
can, I mean, we live now with internet. You can find out anything.
Yeah.
You really can.
Absolutely.
So it's just delightful. I'm glad you feel this way
Yeah,
too.
I absolutely do. And thank you so much for saying yes and being on my podcast today. I think my viewers and your viewers are going to get to learn so much more about you. I learned so much more about you. I love you even more now. And I love your perspective. I'm going to get a new book to read.
Yeah, it's a good one. I need to read it too. But even just opening your eyes, you're just so,
Yeah.
and this is what I've learned. I'm accustomed to doing things a certain way. I have habits.
Yeah.
And maybe I could improve. Oh, I'm sorry, this is falling out again.
Fine.
Maybe I could improve a
Yeah.
little bit. And
Mhm.
that's open mindedness. And then everyone benefits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for saying yes.
You're a gem.
I had the
I
best time
love
with you
you.
today. Okay,
We'll
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 talk
connect
soon.
again. Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Have a good
Bye
day.
everyone. See
Bye.
ya.